tortellini puttanesca. So I have olive oil in a 10-inch skillet, and I'm adding garlic and chopped Kalamata olives, some capers, and this is a very weird ingredient, a tablespoon of, who wants to guess what this is?
Tomato paste.
Anchovy paste. If you can't find anchovy paste, though, you can just buy a tin of anchovies and chop up 4. That's basically what I just added. Cherry tomatoes or grape tomatoes cut in half, and then crushed red pepper flakes for the win. Yes, Mauricio is so excited. Pasta puttanesca is truly one of my favorite Italian pasta dishes. It's just so flavorful, so easy. It's basically like a pantry meal. So I'm gonna cook this mixture for just a couple of minutes. So for the liquid, I'm gonna add about a half a cup of white wine. It only takes a splash. And then about a cup and a half of low sodium broth, nothing fancy. Okay, so now to the liquid, you add the tortellini. So this is just regular cheese tortellini, and I'm adding it right into the pan with the broth and the wine. I'll break it up a little bit. Now I just have to stir this and cook for exactly 5 minutes. This is going to be so good. Woo! Talk about a steam facial. Look at this, honestly, look. That sauce has basically cooked down. The pasta has absorbed it. Everything is just basically one with one another. So I'm gonna turn the heat way down, and I'm gonna grab some spinach. I love this because it just makes everything look prettier. And I'm just gonna stir it around for 1 minute until the spinach wilts. Look at that, isn't that yummy and rustic and just beautiful? Now we just need to add some shredded Parmesan, and that is a 1 skillet pasta that I am totally excited about. Here I go. Should I eat it?
Yes. I'm gonna give some to me. What's your thoughts?
Baby. I'm in love. I'm in love, I'm in love, and I don't care who knows it.
When I was a kid, I loved Manicotti night. So my mom would make this, and my version is a cheesy vegetable manicotti recipe.
Okay, all right.
All right, yeah, I'm adding a little veg to it. You know?
I'll do it already.
Yep. All right, so Sunny, I'm gonna have you help me here. The manicotti is already cooked. You just kind of par cook these, not all the way of what the box instruction says, you know, give them a few minutes less since they're gonna go in the oven.
Okay.
And first I'm gonna make the mixture. So I already sauteed some zucchini and squash and onions, and I'm gonna add to that some ricotta cheese. An egg. This helps everything hold together, but it also gives it some richness too. Some Parmesan cheese.
Katie, you could use like frozen cut vegetables, right?
Completely, yeah. Cook them first to get out some of that water.
Yep.
But yeah, you could just do frozen. And some parsley. Gonna hit it with a little bit of salt.
Lots of parsley.
A little bit of pepper in there. And then this just gets mixed up here. I've got the measuring cup here with the zip top bag in it. Fill it up, then you close it, then you snip it off, and then you fill the shells, okay?
Right.
And while you do that, I'm gonna make our sauce. You just take a can of San Marzano tomatoes. I like those because they're the sweetest, they're the best canned tomatoes you can buy. 28-ounce can. You're gonna put them in the blender, pulse them up. So all you do to this, add some salt to it.
Like a pizza sauce, right? Basically.
Add some pepper to it. Add some fresh basil to it. And it's gonna cook in the oven. And like I said, these tomatoes are such good quality that they don't even really need to cook that much. I put a cup of it down here, and then I'm just gonna put these in our 9x13. So this is great to assemble ahead of time. You can, then just have to pop it in the oven, or you can even wrap this up and freeze it, and then all you have to do is take it out, add cheese to it, and bake it. So now I'm gonna take the sauce, the rest of it, and pour it over the top.
Beautiful color.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah,
When you
see
don't
how
cook out the sauce, it's amazing.
bright and rich that is.
I want to get a gold medal for Manicotti filling.
You don't even need a piping bag or a pastry chip, nothing. You did
I'm
that.
not even Italian, you know what I'm saying?
All right, more cheese. We've got shredded mozzarella going on top of this.
Oh, yeah.
So 3 cheeses in here, the ricotta, the mozzarella, and the Parmesan. And we're gonna do a little bit more Parmesan, because it's comfort food night, so why not, you know?
And I mean, there's veggies all up in there, Katie,
That's
come on.
exactly right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna pop this in the oven.
Can I mention how fast this is? You could probably do this whole thing in 15 minutes from scratch.
Oh.
Okay. Mommy would be proud.
I think Mom would be happy.
proud.
Mom, you watching? Did I do okay? Fresh parsley.
I'm not missing any of the meat or anything.
Starting with the dough, you're gonna use 2 whole eggs and 7 yolks. Okay, so we're gonna add a little bit of olive oil to this, salt. We're gonna go ahead and just kind of whip them till it's completely incorporated. And we're gonna add 2 cups of all-purpose flour. We're gonna add a little bit of salt to the flour. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna make a well, and you wanna make a well that's pretty wide. All right, we're gonna add our eggs to the center, and then you're gonna slowly start to incorporate the flour. Pull a little more flour in, pull a little more flour in. So we're basically just kind of sloshing some flour into the center. All right, so when it gets really, really sticky like this, all right, and then you're just gonna take the palm of your hand, right, yeah, so you wanna roll this out until it starts to kind of come together, and make sure it absorbs all of the flour, and it feels nice and elastic, and it doesn't necessarily feel sticky, okay? And we're gonna let this rest for a couple of minutes, right? Keep the air off of it, and then we're gonna throw this into the fridge, right? So if we tried to roll this out right now, we would roll it out, and then it would shrink back, okay? All right, guys, we're gonna take the bacon, cut this up into big pieces, okay? Pound of shrimp, 3 strips of bacon, 4 Calabrian chilies. They're like pickled in oil, they're so tasty. All right, a little bit of oil on top of that. We're going to zest some lemon, super bright. We're gonna add a little bit of salt, and then we're gonna take all this over to our food processor. We're gonna grind this up raw because it's gonna cook in the water. If you had to, I would hand chop this before I put it in the blender. Blender would liquefy this. So take a look at it. See how creamy this is getting? All right, so nice big handful of fresh basil to this. And we're adding the basil last because we don't want it to brown, okay? All right, so guys, we're gonna use a deli container, and we're just gonna wrap our pastry bag around this. So we're gonna take our filling, and be really careful with the blade here, okay? You don't wanna waste any of this. All right, twist it up in the back, and then we're gonna cut a little tip. All right, guys, ready to roll this out? Lovely. We're gonna take this, we're gonna cut this in half, and then we're gonna cut the halves in half. So we're gonna make sure each little piece, each quarter, is well floured on the outside. We're gonna pre-shape this into a rectangle, and then we're just gonna roll this out, okay? All right, that's the first one, okay? And we're gonna do this one more time. And then the moisture will start to rise to the surface. So every time you turn the numbers up to get a thinner pasta, dust it with a little bit of flour before you move on to the next one, okay? So 1, 2, 3, and then 4. All right, and see how this is starting to come out? Isn't that beautiful? So you know you're in a good place when you can start to see the color of your skin through the pasta. Flour, so it rolls through nice and smooth. Right, that's 5. Okay, we're done. So start from the top, okay? So you're gonna take the ball, all right, pre-shape it into a loose form rectangle, just like this. Run through 1 twice. 3 to 4. Back down again, flour. Boom. All right, guys, check it out. So we have 2 beautiful, perfectly rolled out sheets of pasta, okay? One's gonna be the top and one is gonna be the bottom. So we're gonna take a little bit of just room temperature water and a pastry brush, and we're gonna brush the bottom. And I want you to think about placement, right? So we're gonna use these ring cutters. So that's gonna give you a pretty good idea. You see how I'm marking this? Mm-hmm. I know exactly what I'm gonna get out of it, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, perfect. And then we're going with our filling. Boom, right in the middle, okay? Cool. All right, next sheet on top. Same deal with the water. Okay. Very carefully just start to lay these on top. Start to shape these out a little bit. You gotta get the air bubbles out. Hot air is gonna expand and it could possibly pop, okay? Then we're gonna take our big cutter, custom cut all of our raviolis. See how I'm taking my thumb and I'm just making sure that all the sides are really, really secure. So we're just gonna hold these. This is semolina flour, all right? Okay, so if you find like a little air bubble in one of these things, because it'll happen. Well, yeah, there's one. Okay, let's show you this. Force it out to the edge. See that? Super duper delicate. So the next one, we're gonna make a beautiful tomato vodka sauce. All right, guys, so the shallots, right? So we're gonna cut the tip off. We're gonna leave the hairy end on. We're gonna cut it right in half, okay? We're gonna peel the paper off. The hairy end is gonna keep the shallots intact while we dice them. I'm gonna go and start turning my pan on. Garlic, you smash it, pull the paper off. We're gonna finally mince this stuff up too. Boom, all right. Cherry tomatoes, pop these right in half. Because this will be the bulk of the sauce. Okay, we're gonna strip the thyme right on top of all this stuff. All right, guys, here we go. Extra virgin olive oil. Then tomatoes are gonna go in. These are gonna start to juice down. All right, we add a little bit of salt. All right, a little bit of fresh cracked pepper. All right, guys, so we got a really, really lovely sauce. Our water is coming up to a boil here. You definitely wanna make sure it's a boil. So this has to be very, very, very well salted, okay? So you're gonna rake all of our yummy stuff into the back. You're gonna pull out your vodka. Be careful here. Take the pan off of this, okay? Right, and light it up. All right, so let the vodka burn off. You have this sort of bright alcohol flavor there now, right? And then we're gonna have a little bit of Calabrian chili paste. It's not anything that's gonna blow your head off. We're gonna hit it with some cream, okay? And let this start to break down. So we're gonna garnish this with some fresh basil. Now dig this, a couple of drops of lemon in this, right? All right, we're gonna drop these in. When they float, they're done. Because it's shrimp and the bacon's like finally pulsed down in this, these are gonna take no time at all to cook. Check it out. Ravioli. A little bit of this pasta water. You just wanna throw just a tiny touch in that. I'm so happy with this. You guys ready to plate? Nice evenly dispersed, okay? Basil leaves. A little bit of cheese, if you please. A little bit of olive oil on top. This is my shrimp and Calabrian chili ravioli with tomato vodka sauce.
Wow.
Wow, we got a little hot kick.
Just enough.
Tiny, tiny.
Yep, it's supposed to be there, right? It just fits. Everything
That's
just
full
fits.
grown, man. I dig that.
Thank you very much.
I am going to make dessert ravioli. So I'm gonna make the filling for the ravioli, and all it is ricotta mixed with chocolate hazelnut spread and a little bit of Parmesan, a little bit of powdered sugar. Parmesan, that would be very gross. That would be strange. All right, now I'm gonna mix this together. Ricotta, chocolate hazelnut, and powdered sugar. Kind of an unusual combination, isn't it, Paige? Okay, that's all mixed together. In fact, I'm stopping short because I still want to kind of see the ricotta swirls in there. So now it's time to build the ravioli, and I am using wonton wrappers. Wonton wrapper ravioli is incredible. I use it to make regular ravioli. You can fill it with sort of a shrimp mixture. You can fill it with a veggie mixture, a cheese mixture. So I put a little spoonful in the middle, and then I've got a beaten egg, and I'm just dipping my finger in it and running it around the edge. And this is gonna act as the glue with the wonton wrapper. And then I'll take a second one and square it up on top of the filling. So once you get the ends kind of glued together, you gotta go around the edge and force the air out. You basically want this to be sealed together for the rest of eternity, or until you eat the ravioli. Okay, so look, Paige, all the air bubbles are out and you can see the filling in there. Wow. All right, one ravioli done. Now I'm gonna build 5 more exactly like this. Okay, got them all built. Whew. And I've got a pan with some vegetable oil, and I'm gonna drop all 6 of these in at once, and they are gonna take no time at all to cook. And then I'll take them out and show you how to finish this up. Okay, take a look. They almost got a little too brown, but actually they're perfect. Look at the golden, and I love how the wonton wrappers get kind of bubbly when they fry. So to finish them, I've got some white chocolate that I melted. over a double boiler. I'm gonna see how stirrable, drizzleable it is.
Drizzleable.
And my goal is to drizzle kind of back and forth. It's a mess, but you know, that's what we're all about here. We're about delicious messes. And I have totally accomplished my goal. Chopped hazelnuts, you can do pecans, walnuts, anything you want. But how fun are these?
They look awesome.
And that chocolate ricotta mixture in the center, I know is just gonna be soft and ooey gooey. And then some sliced strawberries. I think this turned out just beautifully. What do you guys think?
I think you've done it again.
Did you know pasta could be dessert?
I am making my spinach manicotti with lemon. You can make manicotti with tomato sauce, obviously, it's delicious. But I am making a spinach manicotti with lemon.
Ooh.
It's kind of cheesy, ricotta-y, and it's baked. You can make the whole thing in advance and just throw it in the oven when you feel like it. You just start with some hot cream. I'm not gonna make a roux or do anything, you know, just cream with a little finely grated Parmigiano Reggiano, a tiny dash of Worcestershire, and an even smaller dash of hot sauce. You don't even know, no, you don't even know they're there. So literally, as far as I'm concerned, whisking a little grated cheese, super salty, into cream, your sauce is thick enough. I'm over the roux. I'm through with the roux, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So 1 egg, just lightly whisk with a pinch of salt right into some ricotta. If your ricotta is kind of wet, you can drain it, right, of any excess liquid. We're literally just making our filling, and it's okay to mix the egg in, obviously, because we're baking it, right?
I made a huge batch of, a lot of batches, actually, of ricotta this summer.
Fresh?
Yeah, fresh. It's so easy to make. I didn't realize how easy it was.
Okay, 1 egg ricotta, and again, just grated cheese.
Any kind of cheese.
I like to use Pecorino Romano here.
Okay. Yeah.
Or
neat, definitely.
Parmigiano Reggiano, anything with that nice salt factor.
So far, this is a very straightforward filling.
Yes.
You're going straight down the middle here, right?
Lemon zest, and I grated deeper on the lemon to get a little bit of that bitter pith underneath,
Oof.
which can give it another flavor, which I love.
Wow.
And fresh tarragon.
There you go.
There you go. There
There's the deviation.
And the lemon juice. In with the ricotta, tarragon, and that cheese. And this is really, and it's nice and thick. You've got that egg in there, making sure it's like a little insurance policy that it holds together. And you just want to mix this nice and easy. Now, I've got some fresh sauteed spinach here, and I'm going to mix that in. I'm saving a little bit of the sauteed and drained spinach to top when we're finished.
Do you season the spinach? You put salt on it?
Sauteed in a little bit of olive oil, salt, pepper.
That's it.
So it's its own animal when it goes in there, you know? All right, and half a teaspoon of ground allspice.
Ooh, that's a lovely touch.
A little bit like when you put that tiny dash of nutmeg in cream spinach.
Yes.
Right? The warm spice just wakes it up a little bit, but you don't even really know it's there. It's that, why is this so much better than when I made it? And the answer is, because I watch the kitchen and I make what they make. And then we just literally fill and go.
Alice, can you make these ahead of time and freeze them?
You can totally make them ahead and freeze them, but there's a lot of dairy in here, right? There's
Oh, you
cheese,
gotta
the
be careful.
ricotta.
Yeah, yeah.
So you want to really wrap them tightly because these will take on any other aromas of anything around them in the freezer.
So could you lay them on a flat in a sheet pan and wrap it up really, really, because this is great to like,
You could freeze them right like this, rolled up.
great, just shove it in the oven, right?
Oh, easy
So you just
breezy.
roll it over, and then, you know, it's almost like, I always say it's like you're an eagle and you're landing on a branch.
Caw-caw!
On a cliff, right? And you just give it the, oh, you kind of liked it, come on.
It wasn't my line, that's why I don't like it that much.
And you just squeeze and roll it over, and you let it sit on its seam so the weight of it seals it shut, and you're done.
So how far did you blanch those? So everybody at home is saying, well, are they fully cooked or are they half cooked?
This is fresh pasta, so I only cooked it for 2-3 minutes.
But it still has a bite to it, right?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
it's not fully
It's
cooked.
important,
It's got
right?
a little al
Because-
dente bite. I
Okay.
totally agree. And then to assemble this, right, once you make this cheese sauce and you just let it cool, it thickens more as it cools. So we would just put a little on the bottom here, layer them all up, roll them all up, and then here's a finished one. We just put the sauce on over top, right?
That's right.
Reminder, the cheese, right? That
And a cut.
cream. The cheese, the cream, this is making me so hungry. Right? All over top, right? Can you just imagine this baking and bubbling away in the oven? I mean,
I'm
stop
imagining there's one in there now.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think I need to stretch
don't
my
even-
imagination.
I
that
need a
far.
bite of
It's
that right
there.
away.
it. So I'm gonna put this in the oven and bake it for about 15 to 20 minutes at 350 degrees.
Ooh.
So good, right?
Man, tree fitty.
Oh, yeah.
I get that door for you. You got it? Okay.
Let me see.
Oh, look at
See
this
nothing.
gorgeousness.
Man of God. Oh, my man of God.
Yeah, so simple. And then just that little bit of spinach I reserved for the top is just nice. It's kind of like maybe,
Coloratura, you know?
yeah, a little reminder of what's inside, a little bit of freshness, because I don't really want to add any more flavors here. I've got tarragon, I've got spinach, I've got lemon, I've got enough bold flavors. And then, of course, GZ, because you're here, some pecorino.
So
We're
lucky.
gonna
Why
go
we
with
get
the
along.
great.
Oh.
Hey, that's good luck.
Is it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
Like
good
pigeons.
chat. All right, and then all that's left to do is taste. Of course, you always want the one on the end. It's
Yeah,
kind of like
that
the
one
edge of
right
the
there.
lasagna, right?
I got my man of God spoon over there in the dressing room. You want me to grab it? Or?
I do.
Oh, look at that. It's so long.
Looks like an Italian canoe.
Oh my God.
That's a canoe sound?
And then we just dig in.
Oh, no.
I love the end where it's kind of crispy and
kayak.
baked.
Sorry.
Still in a kayak tasting.
So good. I wanna go to
The ricotta, the lemon, the cheese, the spinach. There's enough flavor, but there's not so much that you don't really taste every distinct bite. I'm gonna just sit here and eat this whole thing.
My baked tomato and feta tortellini.
Oh, yes.
Starting with your casserole dish, your baking dish. Okay, we got our tortellini here, but now we're gonna make this flavorful tomato. And I'm gonna bump it up even a little more with one of my favorite kind of grab and go grocery store hacks, and those are those mini bell peppers, right? You don't even have to cut them, but I wanted to get the seeds out, so we just have those, and you got the orange, the yellow, and the red bell peppers, some sherry wine vinegar,
Fancy.
and a couple cloves of garlic.
You know what I do like cooked in other cheeses? A halloumi, you know, when you sear it.
Oh,
That's
so
right.
good with
love
tomatoes.
halloumi.
Love
Isn't that
it.
fantastic?
Good amount of salt and pepper. All right, this is the flavor bomb we're looking for, but we're also gonna do that feta. So you don't wanna do too much. And we're just tossing it, right? Tortellines, who doesn't love it? You can do the meats, you can do the cheese, you can do a pesto, there's sausage ones. I'm just gonna use cheese here, like a 4-cheese tortellini, but we're using the refrigerated fresh tortellini. So you need to boil this ever so gently. You know, it comes in bags. You can get frozen ones, just make sure you defrost them. First, we're gonna spray the bottom of this dish just to make sure nothing sticks, and we're gonna literally dump in the tortellinis.
You have not cooked those.
I have not cooked
Straight
the
out of the
tortellinis.
bag.
They are fresh pasta, straight out of the bag from the fridge. Chicken stock. We're gonna shake this, Alex. So all those little torts on the bottom. What's next? The feta. So we are just gonna,
You're making a pizza version of it.
exactly, almost like your kitchen sink pizza, right? But using, again, this is a great time to pull out all those veggies and stuff, because we're gonna cook it fairly long.
Bury everything in this, right?
So we are gonna mix this, make sure all that garlic gets in there. Jeffrey, you ready? All up in there. And I like to kind of make sure we scrape all that minced garlic all around.
The way you're doing it is compelling.
Into the oven, 400 degrees for about 35 minutes. That pasta's gonna cook, it's gonna be nice and al dente. We're gonna blister those tomatoes. We're gonna make sure those peppers are soft and supple. And most of all, that cheese gets bubbly, very fragrant.
That smells good.
All in one
And-
pan.
So easy. Eat your heart out, tiki-taki. Okay? Some torn basil, huh? Are they doing that? They don't even know. The kids don't know what basil is.
They've never even
No.
heard of basil.
The kids today. Right? Right? All right. I literally have to do nothing else to this. We're gonna take a corner piece with all that stuff. It's intact.
That looks good.
That looks really good.
And just a gentle little scoop. No need to stir. Okay? There's no cool tunes playing in the background. And then you take a bite.
I like that you don't have to par cook the pasta. You don't have to. It's like those no boil lasagna sheets. You
Yes,
just
yes.
It's like, it's still in those little folds of the tortellini. It's still chewy and toothsome, but it's hydrated because
You haven't lost the integrity of any ingredient.
nothing is, everything,
As it should be.
just the sweetness of the tomatoes. The little bit of, earthy punch from the peppers. You need a little fresh basil on there, but most of all, that feta is intact and delicious.
All right, let's start with the ravioli first. The first thing that we're gonna do is we are going to make our pasta dough. I'm making a straight egg yolk pasta dough. I learned this pasta dough from Mark Vetri. It's very easy to make. It's straight egg yolks, which makes it richer and I feel creates a more tender dough, which is perfect for filled pastas. So I have 10 egg yolks in here already that I've separated. To that, I'm gonna add 2 cups of flour. So I'm gonna get this going. Sometimes you need some water in the dough, sometimes you don't, depending on what is happening outside with the humidity and so forth. It's pretty humid today, so we may not need water. I also put in a little splash of extra virgin olive oil, which gives the dough some flavor and helps with its tenderness. I'm starting this off with the paddle attachment, and then I will move into the hook. To do it by hand is about a 10 or 15 minute kneading process because you really need to work the dough very hard to develop the gluten. All right, so Liv, if you come over here and you look, you could see that it's not coming together. So this is when it does need a little bit of water. So I'm gonna start with a tablespoon and then we will go from there. And it'll start to come together, it'll form a ball. The ball will get smoother and smoother, start riding up the hook, and then that's when you're in a good spot. All right, so the dough is looking good. See it, it's nice and smooth. Now, what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna wrap it in plastic wrap and let it rest. So oftentimes I'll let dough rest for minimally 30 minutes up to several hours. You can use it immediately if pressed, but letting the flour bloom and open up makes the dough easier to work with. All right, so I'm gonna put this and let it rest. All right, we are going to start working on our filling now. So this is a ricotta and lemon filling. So I have my ricotta cheese here, which I have drained. So we wanna get all the liquid out because we don't want a mushy interior to our pasta. So a ricotta goes in the bowl, and I'm gonna go 4 parts ricotta to 1 part Parmigiano Reggiano. So I have a cup of ricotta, 1/4 cup of Parmigiano Reggiano. To that, I am going to add the zest of 2 lemons, and we're gonna reserve these lemons because we're gonna use the juice in our sauce. Now, typically, you don't put lemon in cacio e pepe sauce, but this is the Lizzie Lemon Show, and she thinks everything needs lemon, and I actually do like a cacio e pepe with lemon, although not traditional, it is delicious. All right, cracked black pepper, a little pinch of salt. We do not have to go crazy here because the cheese is already salty, and nutmeg. And I go pretty heavy on the nutmeg because I love nutmeg, and I know Liz does too, so. All right, so now I'm gonna put in a splash of olive oil, and we are gonna just get this mixture mixed together. And always, this is a good time, an important time to taste it, because once it's in the pasta,
There's no turning back.
no turning back. So what you do is you just get a little forkful, you give it to your little buddy,
That's so nice of you.
and you say, hey, little buddy, how does that taste to you?
Oh, yum, this is gonna be good.
All right, so I'm gonna set this aside. For some reason, I put this down. I don't know why. Just trying to get my morning exercise in. Attach my roller. Okay, so now I'm gonna start rolling out my dough. So I have my dough down here. I'm gonna add a little bit more flour to my board. And it is humid, so I don't want things to stick. So I flatten it out with my hand first. Get it to a place where I could start working it through the mixer. And you can see the dough is so beautiful. Cut this in half. So I have this set at its widest setting right now, which is 1. And I'm gonna go on about a medium speed. And we're just gonna start rolling this through. And what I typically do is I roll everything through each thickness twice. But what I do is I do that, then I fold it again, go again. And then we're just gonna go down 1 more. So I'm gonna cut this in half again now, just so it's easier for me to work with. And I go through. And you're starting to be able to see my hand through there, which is a good sign. So I have this set to 5, which I feel is a pretty good number for ravs. But obviously the thinner you go, the more delicate it is, the more beautiful it is, but there's a challenge in it too. So, you know, I would say as you start working with pasta, start playing around with how thin you can take it. and still have it hold up through the process. Okay, so now I think I'm kind of in the mood just for a classic kind of ravioli. All right, so I have biggest, medium, smallest. So I mark with the biggest first.
But you're not going all the way through.
No, just marking. And then inside that circle, I mark with the smallest. And then I put my filling in small mark. And then I have my water and this little pastry brush, and I'm gonna brush the outside circle, Liv, you see it?
Mm-hmm.
With some of that water, which is gonna seal it.
That's smart.
Oh yeah, I'm smart. Now I kind of look down, go over top, try to make sure that we don't have any air bubbles in there. Oh, air bubble, get out. And then again, first I go with the big one here, around it.
And now you're going all the way through?
All the way through. And this dough you could rework and re-roll too, so.
So pretty.
I have my water going. I have a pan on. Ooh, water is boiling nicely. I'm gonna add a couple good pinches of salt to the water. Lizzie, could you juice these 2 lemons for me?
I would love to.
And the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop the pasta in our boiling water. So we are just gonna put these all in. Now this is just boiling water and salt, that's it. And these are only gonna take a couple minutes to cook. Because it is a fresh pasta, they cook quickly. So that is gonna take a couple minutes. For the cacio e pepe, we are gonna put lemon in ours, not traditional, but everything else is. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I coarsely ground pepper into this pan. Now this is cheese and pepper. Cacio e pepe is the sauce. So do not be shy with your pepper. You want this to be peppery. I'm gonna take some of my pasta water now and add it to my cracked black pepper. And you could see like how much that actually gets like a nice murky looking sauce, and that's what we're looking for. Ravioli is almost done. So we could now start putting in our pecorino romano cheese. And you could either shake or whisk or however you want to do it. You don't want this to come to a boil though now, or that cheese is gonna clump up. If this does start to clump for us, we could add some pasta water to it and it'll smooth it back out. We're gonna add some of that lemon juice. And we shouldn't have to season this because we have the salt of the cheese and we also have the salt in our pasta water. Take our raviolis out, gently add them to our sauce. The raviolis are gonna finish cooking in the sauce, absorb some of that sauce, a little splash of extra virgin olive oil, and we are in good shape. So this is gonna continue to come together. We are gonna finish our salad, and then it is time to eat.
I'm making shrimp scampi stuffed shells. We'll have a pan of it for dinner tonight, and then I'll put the second pan in the freezer, and we'll whip it out whenever we need it. I'm gonna let this keep cooking, and I'm gonna drain the pasta shells. I've been boiling 12 ounces of jumbo pasta shells, the kind that you wanna fill with all sorts of goodness. I need the shells to cool just a little bit before I stuff them, so this is a good time to do that. I've got 2 pounds of shrimp. I want the pieces of shrimp to be small and bite-sized. So I'll start to stir the shrimp, and then I'll add a teaspoon of crushed red pepper. Now I'm gonna add a little liquid to the pan, just a splash of white wine. You gotta have wine with shrimp scampi. It's a rule. And a squeeze of lemon juice, not too much. I'm gonna give this a little sprinkling of salt and pepper. Okay, I'm gonna turn the heat off because this shrimp is done. And I'm gonna pour this whole mixture onto a plate. All right, I'm gonna turn the heat back on, grab some butter, and I'm gonna start on the white sauce. I'll put 8 tablespoons of butter into the pan to melt, then add a 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour, whisk it in, and cook it for 3 minutes. Next, I'll pour in 4 cups of whole milk and 2 cups of heavy cream, whisking constantly and cooking until it's thickened. The sauce is looking lovely and thick, so I'm gonna add more garlic to the mix. I use the first half on the shrimp, and the other half is going into the sauce. And then I'll add some minced parsley salt and pepper. I love any creamy pasta dish. Okay, I'll stir this. Ooh, it's just glorious. Okay, I'm gonna let this simmer, keep getting more and more flavorful, and I'm gonna mix up the cheese mixture for the filling. It starts with ricotta cheese. I like to use whole milk. And then 2 8-ounce packages of cream cheese. I let it soften so it'll be easy to mix it all together. I'll add a cup of Parmesan and then a beaten egg to hold everything together. And the filling needs a little salt and pepper. And parsley in here too. I like how you just keep layering in the flavors in all the different components. I'm gonna add every last bit of the shrimp. All right, now I'm gonna stuff the shells. First thing I'll do is put a little bit of this sauce in the bottom of the baking dish. For dinner tonight, I'm using a ceramic dish. For the freezer dish, I'm gonna use a foil pan. You want them to be full enough that it almost looks like it's about to pour out. I'm gonna top the shells with more sauce. There is sauce everywhere you turn in this dish. You wanna add enough that it's just filling the pan. It's all around the sides. And then I've gotta add some more cheese, mozzarella this time. Pan 2 is destined for the freezer. So sauce, stuffed shells, more sauce, mozzarella, and that's it. So this is for a future dinner, and this is for tonight. I'm gonna get it into a 375-degree oven for 25 minutes, and that's all there is to it.
It is toasted ravioli. So we got some bubbling oil about to go here. So we got a nice heavy bottom cast iron pan here, right? You want something really heavy that retains that heat. I got a candy thermometer in here, and we're gonna turn it on to about medium, and we're gonna bring it up to 350. So while this is coming up to temperature, we're gonna start on our ravioli, starting with some Italian flat leaf parsley. This is just gonna be our garnish, so we can make this nice and minced, and you wanna bunch it up with your hands like this. Do you see what I'm doing? Without having to compact it too much to bruise it. But this way you got this contained little ball that's easier to chop and slice. Using that rocking motion of the knife, nice, very tight, close cuts, right? And now we can kind of quarter turn it and zip through it the other way. And now once we get a comfortable little pile here, we can go back and forth with the knife. Lovely. Swipe it off, and our garnish is good to go. All right, so let's set up our flour, egg, breadcrumb station, or what I like to call the Fed station. Flour first, then you dip it in the egg, and then the breadcrumb. You need something for the egg to kind of stick to, and that flour is the perfect coating for that ravioli. Then it goes into the egg, which we're gonna whisk up right now. So I got 3 eggs in here. Crack them right in the bowl. And I do have a little garbage vessel right here, okay? I'm not just throwing them on my kitchen floor. I don't urge you to do the same. It's pretty rude, actually. So now we can whisk this up. Now whisking, right? Everybody thinks you need circular motion, a whisk. That's not efficient, okay? You wanna go back and forth like this, like that. It's just the easiest way to whisk, to make sure you don't get any of those streaks of egg white within the yolk. Easy breezy. Flour, egg, breadcrumb. We're gonna hit a little seasoning into the Italian style breadcrumbs. What does that mean? These things come in the container, they're perfect. So you don't want anything too dense like a panko. You want that full coating, and that's great. And it's already got a ton of built-in flavor in there. Italian herbs and spices. We got our fresh ravioli, right? You can buy these frozen. You can coat these frozen. It's just hard to work with when they're frozen, so you want them to thaw out a little bit. You can go to the, your grocery store, and the refrigerated aisle has great selection of fresh, hand-rolled raviolis. These are cheese ravioli you're using here. You can use meat ravioli, but we're using standard regatta-filled, plain, fresh pasta-based ravioli into the flour. So you're gonna shake off the excess flour and then put in that egg, right? Let the excess drip off that. That's what you wanna do, and then you wanna put it right into those seasoned breadcrumbs. But what you want is full coverage, coating. Look at that. Beautiful. See? Full coating of those Italian-style breadcrumbs. And repeat. You could do a couple at a time. Fill that up. Move it around a little bit. Shake off the excess. Dip it in the egg. Shake off the excess. Dip it in the egg. Right? You want to make sure you shake off all that excess flour. It's really important because it could start thickening up your whisked eggs here very quickly. So you don't want that excess flour in there. Give everything a little bit of a turn, gently. You can use giant raviolis for this. I like the mini ones. Why? Because I can literally eat a handful of them in one pop. Lovely. Here we go. Into the seasoned breadcrumbs. Let that excess drip off. You don't need any extra egg in the breadcrumbs. It's a very important step. So it's great to use shallow bowls for these. You got greater surface area. You can work in it more. It's easier to get out rather than trying to dig in to a deep bowl. We're always keeping an eye on this. I'm gonna lower it a little bit. We are right at 350, perfect temperature. Press it down a little bit, shake off the excess, see? Now we're cooking here. All right, continue breading your ravioli in the breadcrumbs using the Feb station. I got some ready to go back here. Beautiful. Look at these. Our ravioli is coated, good to go. We're looking at our oil. I am spot on at 350. That is where you want to be. What I like to do is place anything I'm deep frying into a spider. You got to have a spider. We know it's working because it immediately starts going. This is a lot of oil, so we can do all these at once here. What you do not want to do is grab a handful of this and kerplunk it in there. Please do not do that. Big pot of oil over an open flame. You want to really be safe. Start moving these around. There's not much to cook. There's no raw meat in here. We're just really crisping these ravioli up. So literally, this takes about 2 to 3 minutes till it's golden brown, totally crispy. One of my very first jobs was in the city of Chicago. We have a big food festival called Taste of Chicago every year. And I would work for this Italian restaurant called Tuscany, making Italian beef sandwiches, Italian sausage sandwiches, and fried ravioli. We would keep a little boat swimming in marinara sauce at our stations at all time. You sell one, you eat one. You sell one, you eat one. It wasn't good for my waistline, but the memory is awesome. So you do want to make sure they're spaced out, not crowded. They're already seasoned, so we really don't need to hit them with any more salt. They need some time to cool down. We got another batch going here. Dip it in there nice and gently. These aren't too sticky, so we can do this all at once. Look at that. Before you start moving into there, let it set up in your fry oil. Then you can kind of start moving it around to make sure we are good to go. Let's talk dipping sauces, because this is not everything. So I got a whole plethora of dipping sauces. Obviously, red sauce, marinara. How about some fresh pesto, right? Store-bought pesto. Ranch dressing. And then we got Alfredo sauce, cheesy, creamy sauce. How about some Caesar? We got that in there. And of course, some Vodka sauce. All right, this is almost perfect. You can see, right? They're starting to float to the top. So this is one of the instances where I don't recommend making your own pasta from scratch. This is a perfect use for those frozen or, fresh, prepackaged, ready-made ravioli. All right, let's plate. While they're hot, now's the time you want to shut off your oil. And another little tidbit, if you're paying attention and you care about deep frying, and you often deep fry like myself, you can't really cool down oil. If it does get too hot, which is easy to do, the smartest thing to do to kind of temper the temperature and bring it down quickly is to add some fresh, non-hot oil in there. Here we go. Hot ravs. Now we're gonna plate these so nice. You hear that? Wait, shh, I'm gonna get my mic. So crispy, so crispy. Hit it with a little bit of that parm, give it a dusting. And then that parsley we chopped for a little extra color. Now the only other thing you must do is choose which dipping sauce. I'm gonna start with the triple hopscotch, which is vodka sauce into Alfredo sauce into marinara. Your options are as endless as your dipping sauces and, of course, the inside of your ravioli. It's gooey inside, but it's also crispy and golden brown on the outside. Hope you guys had as much fun as I did breading and deep frying this toasted ravioli. We'll see you guys next time.
Cheesy stuffed pasta. So I started with a whole bunch of whole milk ricotta. Can you see that? Mm-hmm. Very exciting in that bowl.
Exciting.
And then a whole bunch of pesto. I'm just gonna add half this amount. This is a stunner of a recipe, and it's great for friends if you're having people over for dinner. It's great for a weeknight, but it does take some assembly, so you might want to save it for some of those special people in your life and not just your teenage boys. So I added salt, pepper, pesto to the ricotta, and I'm going to stir together. And then I've also got some grated fontina cheese, very creamy and wonderful. And I'm going to add half of that to the ricotta mixture. It's kind of fun when you just use 8 ingredients. You can then concentrate your time and effort on the actual assembly and, cooking, baking of the recipe. Okay, so that's all there is to the ricotta mixture. Okay, now it's time to stuff the pasta, but before I do that, I'm gonna stuff this piping bag. Okay, gosh, that's about as full as a piping bag can be. So, I'm gonna snip off the end. It's much easier to fill this pasta using a piping bag. Hold on, I have to switch hands. So for the pasta, I am using pecari, which is like oversized rigatoni. Have you ever seen pasta this huge in your life? But the good thing is it's big enough to stuff. So I'm just gonna put the piping bag in and squeeze, can you see that? Mm-hmm. Until it's totally stuffed with the ricotta mixture. And then I have a springform pan that is usually reserved for cheesecakes. But what you do is you stand up the pasta so it's standing up. Now, you can probably imagine I'm gonna do this exact same thing with the rest of the pasta and the rest of the ricotta, and I am gonna fill this springform pan. It's gonna take me about 10 minutes, so I'll see you on the other side. Last one, watch Alex. This is very exciting. Get in there. Can you believe this?
Like a puzzle.
This is my kind of dish, let me just tell you. Pasta, cheese, pesto, seriously my favorite things, and Alex's too, for that matter. So one of the 8 ingredients is a jar of Alfredo sauce, and then the rest of the pesto, and then I'm gonna stir it around with a little bit of the pasta water from when I made the pecari. So it's a little bit liquidy, but that's good because it's gonna go over the pasta and get inside, and watch what happens. Ready? It's gonna go down into the cracks and crevices. And without that pasta water addition, it would be a little too thick and it might kind of collect on top, and then there'd be problems. But isn't this great? Usually springform pans are for cheesecake. They're not just for cheesecake anymore, and try to get all around the edges. Can you see? Mm-hmm. Everywhere you see room, my goodness. This should be a crime, to be honest. So then the rest of the fontina, but how good would this be for company, and you just pull it out of the oven and just watch your guests faint. But you could serve this like with a beautiful Caesar, or you could serve it with like prime rib or beef tenderloin. So good. All right, let's go to the oven, Alex. Woo! Goodness. You wanna bake this at 400 degrees for about 30 to 35 minutes until it's bubbly and luscious and wonderful. Now this is my kind of cheesecake right here. The cheese is melted and brown around the edges.
So bubbly.
So, are you feeling lucky today?
I'm kind of nervous about
I'm a little
how
nervous
this is
too,
gonna
but
turn
that's
out.
the whole point of this dish, is to like untether it and just unleash it on the world.
Do it.
All right, here we go. Ready? Oh, it's gorgeous. You could leave it in the pan and just like scoop it out. But to me, it looks like something that needs to be sort of sliced in a wedge. What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, I guess.
I Alex is like, I don't care, just give me some of it.
As long as you give me a helping.
It really does cut like a cake.
Wow.
Seriously, this is so cool. Okay, oh boy. All right, we're just gonna try. Oh, no. Well, that was a fun idea while it lasted, but here we go. I pulled it off too soon. It needed about 10 more minutes to just sit and really become one. But it really doesn't matter because what's beautiful about this dish is this enormous pasta stuffed with all the good stuff of life. All right? Look at this.
I think I need that.
Can you see
Yum.
how beautiful that looks? I am gonna take a bite. And just 8 ingredients. This is not like a complicated list of ingredients. Ready?
Spinach and mushroom stuffed shells, right? It's cheesy, it's got the ricotta filling, got everything, but you gotta start with the stuffed shells. And my man Jeffrey here is par cooking them to super al dente because they're gonna cook a little further. We're gonna do a little ice bath here to stop the cooking immediately and then dry it off properly here on a paper towel lined sheet. I'm doing mushroom and spinach, something you don't see a lot. Usually it's just the ricotta cheese, a whole bunch of parm, a whole bunch of mozz and red sauce. But we're gonna start with the beautiful, nice cremini mushroom duxelle here with some shallot. All right, we're gonna get that nice caramelization on there, that deep umami flavor, bring it out.
A duxelle, meaning a mixture of shallots and mushrooms, usually pureed together. You find it tucked into beef Wellington or in a mushroom soup.
Once we're like at the color we want, we can hit it with a little salt. And next comes the spinach part and a whole boatload of spinach in there, kind of tamper it down.
It takes so much spinach.
Right? I'm paying an homage to the classic stuffed shells, but like, what do I want in there? Something a little more hearty, a little more flavorful. All right, you're gonna see this wilt down quite quickly. You wanna cook through all that water that the spinach holds on to, let it evaporate. Next, we'll start, while this is going, Jeffrey, good job. Let these cool down before you stuff them. We're gonna begin our ricotta mixture, and we just have some whole milk ricotta cheese that sometimes you gotta strain a little bit. Of course, we have to get some mozz in there.
Come on.
Boom. Whole milk mozzarella, a little fresh grated parm, some just nice fresh basil right up in there, some salt. We'll taste
It's the mac
as we
cheese
go.
method. You got to have different cheeses.
And
right?
look at this, something you usually don't find in stuffed shells. Little pignoli.
Pignoli.
Little pine nut. Little extra level of flavor and texture, Jeffers.
texture.
Little pepper.
Do you use pignolis or pine nuts, which are infinitely cheaper?
We don't use any. Lorenzo is severely allergic to pine nuts, so
there you
I
go.
don't get to
That
cook with
helps.
them. So I can't bring this home, but I can bring it home to my belly right now. So you let this cool down, obviously, a little more, but for the sake of time, we're gonna scoop all that
Scoop and loop.
wonderful duxelle and spinach with the shallot in there. We caramelized it.
Do you blitz it? No, you just spin it.
No,
You're not
blitz
ready.
it, man. We're gonna use our power here, Jeffrey. Now,
Yeah, what are we doing?
can properly mix this.
Do we have a bag?
No bag, man. We're gonna spoon it in there.
No, it's fine with me.
Right? Nona style.
No.
So we're gonna mix this. Nice, look how
It's a
verdant.
nice chunky filling.
I love the texture vibe.
All right, we're gonna take these par cooked shells. So you got a
Can I
spoon
help
there, you
this?
can help me. We'll do a couple of them here. And just like that, not overstuffed.
And just like that.
And just like that, we have stuffed shells. Just give me a couple. I got some more ready to go here.
Okay, you ready to go?
Look at that flavor. I mean, that is just like, do that with the lasagna, you're winning. Now we have a tray ready to go. Look at all those beautiful
Oh,
little
they're
babies.
perfectly lined up, unlike ours.
I'm just gonna pour some right into that pan we used, okay? Just
I
kind of
love
on the bottom.
one pan, not having to do a bunch of dishes here.
It's
Like too much.
This is the
People
one
get
pan
crazy.
plan. This is the original.
We're gonna line them up all in a row, all right, just like that, in like a nice circular, centrifugal, right? Concentric, not centrifugal, in a concentric circle here.
This is a very pretty dish.
It is very.
And again, using the brazier here, you serve it directly in this dish. You do everything in this dish. All right, now we got a little more cheese, but again, don't cover it up.
You gotta have a little cheese.
I'm gonna do a little more sauce first, actually. Just kind of fill in the gaps, just like that. Again, enough sauce, right? Proper ratios where you're not losing any of the flavor or the visual. Those lovely stuffed shells just around there. And guess what? Katie, no oven necessary.
Oh,
Stove,
really?
top, cooking only.
It looks like a baked dish.
Yeah, totally.
You always think baked stuffed shells.
Exactly. Not this time. We're doing this all stovetop, keeping it simple, right? A little parm on top, right? And now we can cover it, Jeffrey. Let it simmer for about 10 more minutes. Let those pasta noodles cook all the way through. And here we are.
Oh, wow.
La la.
That is gorgeous, isn't it?
Unlike any other stuffed shells I've ever seen, this is some fancy pants stuff. Then, of course, you can hit it with that.
Yes.
And this is gonna stay warm for quite some time, too.
Especially in that cast iron pan.
Yep. And then you can plate it nice with some, just a couple basil leaves torn around.
Great brunch dish, don't you think?
I'll have it any time of day.
By the way, it really it could be like a cousin of a shakshuka with some poached or fried eggs.
Oh.
Wonderful.
Wow.
That looks gorgeous.
Right? No digging around for a compose. You're not like hitting it with.
Look how happy Katie is. It's a burn the roof of your mouther.
Yeah, there's no turning back. Once it's.
I feel like, Katie, are you gonna put kale in here instead of spinach?
You can though.
Good, right?
I think spinach is right at home though.
I'm
because-
having a moment, okay?
So comforting.
This is so good, Jeff. I mean, stuffed shells used to just be like, oh, stuffed shells, they're good. This is like stuffed shells. Oh my God, amazing. Having that texture of the mushrooms in there and the pieces of spinach and then a little pop of pine nut.
But I tell you, the pasta's cooked perfect.
Ooh.
Is that because
And
you
the-
cooked it?
No.
The sauce, having that little extra creaminess of the vodka sauce instead of just a straight up marinara. This is off the charts.
Now I am making my collard greens stuffed shells. I've had some pasta shells that I cooked until it was al dente. It was just about 7 minutes. You're probably wondering how I got this idea of collard greens and pasta. Well, one day I thought about making lasagna for Brian, but he's like, I just don't want your typical lasagna. Well, can you do something different? Had some collard greens in the fridge that I really needed to get rid of. So I thought about it. Why not make a Southern style lasagna? Brian loved it. So for his birthday, I'm gonna do something a little different. Instead of making a lasagna, I'm stuffing it into shells. Now I am making the bechamel. So I'm melting 2 tablespoons of butter unsalted, and I'm gonna also add my 2 tablespoons of flour to help thicken the sauce. Okay? Now I'm going to slowly pour in my heavy cream. And that's 2 3/4 cups of heavy cream. And as it starts to heat, it's going to start to thicken up. I'm going to season this as well, a few pinches of salt and freshly cracked black pepper. My bechamel has thickened up. Now I'm going to add my collards. All right, just give it a taste. Make sure I don't need to add any more seasoning to it. That is delicious. All right, so I'm gonna let that cool. I've already diced 1 Vidalia onion. I've diced it pretty fine. Now I'm going to dice 2 cloves of garlic. So I like using a Vidalia onion because it's a little sweeter than your standard yellow onion. They're plentiful down here in the South, so I love using Vidalia onions. All right, so I've minced my garlic. Now I am going to move my cream of collards out of the way, bring another pot over here. I'm gonna add a little olive oil so nothing sticks. Now I'm gonna add my onions and garlic and get it sauteed down. Add a little salt to help bring out some of that moisture. It's like this, if I'm at someone's house or at a restaurant and I smell the smell of like onions and garlic cooking, I don't care what you're cooking, I want a plate. There is all of this flavor at the bottom of this pan, so I need to bring it up. Now I have some white wine that I like to use. Okay, so now that most of that alcohol is kind of cooked out, I'm gonna add my meat. I have a pound of 80-20 beef, that's 80% meat, 20% fat. Fat equals flavor. I have about 8 ounces or about a ½ pound of country sausage. Now that's my little southern twist on there, is adding the country sausage and the collard greens. So country sausage is seasoned ground pork, also commonly called breakfast sausage. I like to also add in about a tablespoon of my house seasoning. Now that's garlic powder, onion powder, salt, pepper, and a little bit of paprika. Brian is going to enjoy this. Now I am making a meat sauce, so of course you gotta have some crushed tomatoes. And so this is something that I like to do, and this is what my mom has always done, is add a little sugar to help balance out the acidity. And then I'm also gonna add a ½ cup of chicken broth. So I'm gonna let this simmer for about 20 minutes until it gets nice and thick. Now, the longer you let it simmer, the more concentrated that flavor gets. So you can do it a little longer, but Brian is not gonna be out for too long, so 20 minutes will do for me. All right, that looks good and it's starting to thicken up. I'm gonna turn the heat off and let it thicken up some more. And while I do that, let me take my cheesecake out because it's done. Oh, this is gonna be a great birthday for Brian. I left the door open and it's been cooling and coming to temp in the oven without the heat. So what I'm gonna do now is gonna take it out the water bath and let it cool down over here. Oh, look how beautiful this cheesecake is. It's art. Wow, all right, while this cools down, I'm gonna assemble my shells. So I have my 9x13 dish here that I have sprayed with a little nonstick. So this is how I'm gonna do this. I have my meat gravy here. Put a little bit at the bottom first, just kind of like you do a lasagna, so your pasta shells don't stick to your pan. Take a little bit of that tomato sauce, stuff it into the shell, and line them up. What I'm gonna do next is just get my cream of collards and just spoon it on top. And don't skimp with this, just put it all on top. It's just the more, the merrier. Now I'm gonna take some of this Asiago cheese, spread that Asiago on top. Cover this. All right, 350, covered for 30 minutes. It's gonna be all bubbly and browned on top. I'm hungry right now.
I'm gonna make a big batch of cheese-stuffed pasta shells with tomato sauce. They are very, very popular in my house. Now, I've been grating up a bunch of cheeses, and I'll make the filling for the pasta shells. It starts with a whole bunch of ricotta cheese. I'm actually making 2 pans of shells, one to pop in the freezer and one to take home for dinner tonight. This is a lot of ricotta cheese. Now for some sharper cheese, I've got some grated Parmesan and grated Romano. I also have 2 eggs and those go right in. I'm just gonna get some basil and parsley together. This is a really great meatless meal. I love it because you can serve the shells with a salad, and that's a great meal in itself. And then some salt and pepper. This is a lot of cheese mixture, so it really needs some seasoning. And then I'll just use my muscles to get this all combined. Now, part of what makes this so easy is that you can use jarred marinara sauce. And I'll just put a little bit in the bottom of the pan, just to have a little foundation of sauce. And now I boiled a whole bunch of jumbo pasta shells. I'll hold it open with my hand and get some of the delicious cheesy filling. And then it goes cheese side down in the sauce. I'm gonna fill up this pan, then I'll do the other one. I'll top the whole thing with more marinara sauce. Just pour it right out of the jar. And that is why jarred marinara sauce is so wonderful. You just crack open the jar and go for it. Now, cheese again. I have a whole bunch of grated mozzarella, and it melts so beautifully over the top of these shells. Now I have some leftover Romano and Parm, and it goes on. Now I'll just cover these with foil and dream about digging into this tonight. So just 25 minutes in a 350-degree oven, and it'll be nice and hot. Everyone gets a big helping of shells. I just love the way the sauce coats the pasta and a little of the cheesy filling peeps out. Yum. Then it just needs some crusty bread, a sprinkle of chopped parsley, and that's dinner.